Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Such practices as we just participated in and other similar kinds of exercises are very useful for elevating and brightening the mind, raising the level of consciousness. But they're not the whole of the path, and it's unbalanced if one relies on such practices without balancing, with grounding the being in the earth and in the body. And here I think a contemplation on the four elements is a very useful grounding practice. It came to me the other day when I go down to the river for my daily bath, and it was a very sunny day. I was standing on the rock, and there was some wind, and the sun was bright in the clear sky overhead, and the water is gurgling all around. And it came to me that, I'm in the midst here of the four elements in a very elemental, primordial form. The rock of the Canadian Shield underfoot, the water gurgling, flowing, the wind, the air, the pure clean air of the countryside, and the glorious rays of the sun overhead, the fire. And this is the grounding in nature, to be in contact with the elemental realities of the natural world. The earth, the water, the air, the fire. And these elements exist within our own bodies. The earth is all the hard, solid parts of the body, the bones and teeth particularly, but the skin, the hair, the membranes. Water is all the flowing liquid parts, the blood and lymph, saliva, sweat. These are all watery. Air is, of course, foremost the breath, but air in the sense is understood by the Indian system is all the motion in the body, all the coursing through the limbs. The air is motion, it's the movement, the beating of the heart, the movement of the arms and legs. And fire is the energy of the body, the energy of digestion, the heat of the body. The energy that enables us to move and to walk and to run and to lift is fueled by inner fire. And this too, as I mentioned at the outset of the guided meditation, is in another example, in another level. This is another example of as above, so below, that our body recapitulates nature. It's part of nature, not different, not separated from it. A poet once said, "We are the rocks dancing." This is a danger of modern life, separation from nature and alienation, to see ourselves as separate and distinct. If you watch water flowing in a stream, sometimes see small whirlpools, little eddies in the stream. And this form of the eddy can maintain its shape for some time, maybe for hours, maybe for days. But the water that composes the little whirlpool is constantly refreshed, is constantly new. It's a form that manifests itself out of the flowing river, but its substance is not different from the river. So our bodies are like these little whirlpools in nature. They're composed of the material of nature, and they hold their form for a few years or a few decades, and then they dissolve. Our breath is constantly moving through us. We pass water in and out of our systems, and solid matter, and the energy is constantly being expended. Even at the very smallest level, in each individual cell, and the human body has trillions and trillions of cells, and every cell is a complete little entity unto itself. The earth element in the membrane and the cytochrome, the cellular skeleton that holds the whole thing in shape. And it's a little bag of, a tiny, tiny bag of seawater. There's water there. Water element is the very substance of life. There's air in terms of motion and all the little moving parts. Cell is a very complex little machine with all these moving parts. And the energy, the fire, is provided by the mitochondria, little energetic batteries. Moving up the scale to the highest kind of scale, to a cosmic kind of level, we see the elements as well in the cosmos. The solid earth of the planets, the fire of the stars, the motion of wind in terms of gravitational forces, keeping the whole thing turning and moving. And the flow of plasma in the stellar bodies. It's like water. There's a curious parallel at the cosmic scale between the ancient Buddhist account of the ending of a world system and the modern scientific version. In the Buddhist version, there are various cycles within cycles, and there are subsequently larger spans of destruction at the end of an age. There's a destruction by fire, which destroys 10,000 world systems, and destruction by water that destroys 1,000,000,000,000 world systems, and a destruction by air, which destroys the whole. Everything is renewed after each of these cycles. In the modern scientific cosmology, the scale of a single solar system, the end comes by fire, when the sun goes red giant and burns everything up. A higher level of destruction, the destruction of a galaxy, is like water. The whole galaxy is flowing around in a spiral. This shape and this motion is driven by a massive black hole at the center of the galaxy. And the whole thing is like water going down the bathtub drain. And then air, as the expansive force of the universe. In at least some modern models, they talk about the heat death of the universe when everything is dispersed by the expansionary force that came from the original explosion of the Big Bang. So everything is basically blown away. So these four elements are a very powerful and useful conceptual tool to situate ourselves within nature, within this earth, and within the cosmos, to remain connected and grounded, and find and recognize and feel the elements in nature and the elements in yourself and the connection, the non-separation. This is a way of staying sane, of staying grounded, of staying connected. And see ourselves as not separate from nature, not opposed to nature, but as part of nature, as a part of this earth and a part of the cosmos. Besides the four elements, there's sometimes an additional list that adds two more, the 6 elements. That is space and consciousness. It's a more complete list. Space in the Theravada system is considered to be not actually a real thing, but as a mental conception or construction to separate objects by distance. Consciousness, or mind more generally, is omnipresent in the broadest sense. It's that which precedes the whole. The universe, nature, the world, the body, the self, none of it makes sense without the mind. Couldn't exist separate from the mind. And ultimately, the mind is all we really know. Is the world within the mind, or is the mind within the world? So I'll conclude with one last meditation instruction, and some of you have heard this before. Something you can take away as a practical method of meditating on the four elements. It works very well with a walking meditation. And this meditation is adapted from the Satipatthana's commentary. You walk slowly and identify or contemplate each phase of the walking with one of the elements. So you begin as you lift the foot from the floor, from the earth. That's fire element, rising. Then you move it forward through space, that's air element. Then you let it flow down to the earth, that's water element. Then you ground it, press it into the ground, that's earth element. Then you run through the cycle again with the other foot. Fire, air, water, earth. Fire lifting the foot, air moving the foot forward, water settling the foot down, and earth pressing the foot into the ground, stabilizing it. Then you repeat with the other foot. So that's a very simple, practical meditation you can do with walking to connect with the four elements. So I'll leave it there.
Sadhu, 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 and Bodhami.